guys. Great to have a pint with you.
Thank you very much. Nice for the input.
That's actually really nice. So why did you move out of the city? Why did you not want to live in the city?
Oh, why did I move? Well, I grew up in Coolock. Just like, you know, it's like it's very dense,
Very urban.
right? And then you go out and you rent down the countryside for a while. There's no comparison. Why would I want to go back? So I then went further. And I'm in a small little village. There's like no bank. There's a credit union. It's like 6 or 7 pubs and a chemist.
Is there literally 6 or 7 pubs?
Yeah. Loads of pubs. There's a chemist and a credit union. That's it. Great little village.
And you can be walking around in the countryside in 5 minutes from your house or whatever.
No traffic, no build-up, no traffic lights. Stuck behind tractors every now and again, which can be, but it is what it is. But it's a grand little spot.
Tell me about growing up in Coolock.
Growing up in Coolock. Ask me that question a different way. I'm not really sure how to answer that because there's a lot of ways to answer that.
There's a narrative, out there in the public perception about Coolock, Darndale. What's it really like? We're on the outside looking in at housing estates like this that have been built, on the periphery of the city, for people who are, for people who need social housing or, help. What's it like growing up in that environment? How did it affect you?
Well, I think there's two perspectives. When you're young, it's good crack. It's wild. I would say Coolock has a bad reputation. There's an awful lot of amazing people that live in Coolock. There's a really good community spirit within it. But then it also has the other side. Everything you read in the press is true. Them murders do happen. Them sort of, the chaos that you see in the press, sometimes on a weekly basis, in Coolock happens. I grew up in social housing, like everyone else.
So everyone in Coolock is in a state-funded home?
Well, the part where I grew up in, so you would have, so there's different parts of Coolock. The part I grew up in was the working class, the county council sort of housing, social housing, yeah.
So does that mean that in your environment growing up, you were surrounded by people whose parents didn't have jobs, were unemployed?
Like my own.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
you didn't get to meet, you didn't get to meet kids whose parents, both worked or, had a different kind of mindset or?
No. I don't think I met anyone from the area who'd been to college, ever. Well, I'm sure there was people that went to college. I didn't know them. No, nobody worked. I think one of it was a taxi driver in the Coolock. But apart from that, no. The majority of, first of all, the majority of the houses was single parent houses. And everyone had, there wasn't 2.5 children like there was today. Like there was 6 in my house. I think there was 7 in the one next door and 7 on the one on the opposite side. So there wasn't, there wouldn't have been much to aspire to, let's say, by looking left or right.
Yeah, you wouldn't have had influence on your life that would have sent you in a direction where you would pursue university or a career?
Personally, no.
Personally, yeah.
No, I didn't. Definitely not.
So would you say that kids growing up in Coolock around your time, or in your specific area around your time, would probably have followed in the footsteps of their parents and of the people around them that they saw?
Of course. Your parents educate you, don't they? You get your morals and your values from your parents. If your parents don't work and they tell you that's okay not to work, why would you be you see what I'm trying to say?
But you work now.
I do. I work a lot.
So you bypass that?
Yeah, it took me a while. Yeah.
So tell us what you do now. What do you like? What do you do all day?
So my day job, I work with a group of, you could call them mentors, coaches, Way to Work Ireland. And what we do is we have We're a non-for-profit organisation. We take young people and children out of care system. They're referred into us by Tuesday, and what we do is we work to build on their training, education, and then ultimately place them with employers across the country. That could be construction, aerospace, retail, motor, hospitality, and generally we don't go out looking for certain positions or dealing with certain associations. We wait on the young person to come to us and tell us what it is they want to do.
And then you create an opportunity.
Yeah.
And so these are young people who have come from the care environment in Ireland. So what is that? What does that mean? What does social care mean? Is that what we call it now? Social care?
I actually don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done a degree in social care, but then you have social workers and you have psychologists, and so I don't know what the industry.
So what's the system that they're coming to you from? Tell me a bit about that system. It's the social care system.
Yeah, they're coming to us from all the different departments within the social care sort of setting. So that could be foster care, that could be residential care, and then you would have what's known as aftercare and special care.
Okay, so they're either in a foster family,
if they're lucky,
or they're in residential in a larger kind of institutional environment.
No,
wouldn't be institutional.
Not anymore. It used to be institutional back a long time ago. No, they're more now. They're houses in the States, and they are purchased, from what I understand, by Tuesday, and they are manned 24 hours a day
by professionals.
Yeah, and everyone in there, all the young people living within there would be under 18. What you would have, what's known as single occupancy. Yeah. Could be one young person living with a staff team. Then you could have dual occupancy, which is two, and then a staff team, and then you can have maybe 4 or 5.
But it's not big numbers.
No, that's the industrial sort of.
Yeah,
we've done away with that a long time ago. Yeah, thank God for that. Yeah.
Very good. Yeah, very good. So, okay, so we understand about foster families, and we understand about residential care. So what are the reasons that these young people end up, through no fault of their own, not with their own families?
Well, I think there's many reasons. I mean, I suppose you would have all sorts. You have, legally, from my understanding, it's emotional abuse, physical abuse, neglect, and sexual abuse. But then you would also have a lot of the young people we would work with today are unaccompanied minors seeking international protection. Now, these are young men and women who are either trafficked into the country. It could be from Africa, it could be from countries like Ethiopia, Eritrea, Sudan, Syria, Afghanistan. Some of them are trafficked into the country. Some of them come here in the back of lorries. It depends. But I mean, I suppose the unaccompanied minors, they're looking for maybe a better life and opportunity. And then the Irish, let's say young people, well, they're in it because their parents didn't have the ability to look after them, let's say, or were, a lot of the times abusing them.
So through no fault of their own, these young people have ended up as children under the age of 18, either in foster family or residential care. And so would you say that, I mean, listening to you talking there, a lot of those kids would have suffered traumas before they went into the residential or foster family? Yeah,
I would agree with that.
So they would have had traumas because of the background that they've come from, the family situation that they've come from. How does this trauma affect them?
It depends. I think it depends on the individual. It depends on how severe that trauma has been, what type. Some of them, it can be worse. It can be worse with some than it is with others. I think it's on an individual. You would meet some young people that are really vulnerable. You could meet some people that have experienced a lot of trauma in their life but don't want to be a victim to the circumstance and are just looking for the opportunity to get out there, make something of themselves, but need that contact, need that maybe extra bit of support, which is what we try and provide at Way to Work.
So what happens is they have some trauma in their childhood, and then they come into residential care where they're cared for by professionals, or foster families where they're cared for by loving, caring families, and that helps them to work through some of that trauma.
Yeah, you would have a lot of outside agencies working with young people as well. You would have like therapeutic interventions for them and counsellors and psychologists and, so there's an awful lot of support outside of just they're living in a house.
Yeah. They're not just putting a roof over their head.
No, but as well as that, it is an artificial environment.
Yes.
You're not living in a normal household. Yes. Everything is done for you all the time. And you're offered literally, like everything is at your beck and call. I mean, that's not generally the way things work.
Yeah. I remember when me and you were chatting before, like you were telling me that, some of these young people have like difficulty forming trusting relationships. Yeah. They may have come from families that, there was addiction, homelessness, and I think I remember you telling me that there was like a really high statistic of the children of these families that ended up going down the same route.
Yeah, I would say that's fair to say. Yeah, definitely.
Like you were saying, it was like 67% or something.
Well, that was a statistic I seen in 2016. I think it was about 69% of them. Yeah. 79% of them ended up after leaving the care system. Yeah. In homelessness, addiction, prison, or all of the above. Yeah. That was a report I read from the Oireachtas. Yeah. So,
So what you're doing now is you're providing an intervention. You're providing not an intervention.
Trying.
Yeah. So you're providing a funnel or a siphon where rather than that they come out of care and they kind of fall off a cliff, like they're 18 years of age, they're not in college, they're not in a job, they're not in an apprenticeship, and they kind of come, what happens to them when they come out into the world if they're not in college or in full-time education?
Well, I think there's 2 points there. The first one is that there's also a great aftercare program that Tuesday runs. So anybody from 18 to 21 years of age are given additional supports around, college and training and education and stuff like that. And the second thing is all the young people that we work with, they're not less intelligent than the general sort of population. They're all competent, motivated, and intelligent young people. The difference is where you could go to your father, or I could probably not, but let's say you could, and your father would, Johnny that he drinks with in the pub on a Friday night after work, can you ask him, can he give me a better work experience, or can you ask him, can he help me get a job? These young people they don't have that. Yeah. They don't have that. And networking is one of the most important skills in life, but nobody talks about it. No. It's very important.
The little black book.
Yeah, and what we're trying to do is network on their behalf and advocate for them, place them within a company, but then stay with them along the way. And we meet them regularly, let's say every week, depending on the young person. It could be every week or every month. And it's how you're getting on with your boss. Are you turning up on time? Have you got a good attitude? Are you asking questions? Are you having your lunch with the rest of the guys rather than sitting on your own in the corner? Okay, we probably need to look at a couple of these things. But we also don't just place a young person within a company. We normally have a connection within the HR department. And so somebody within that company, not everybody, but somebody within that company will understand the type of young person that we're bringing forward, and maybe some of the needs that need to be addressed while they're in that company. Support, put an arm around them, bring them over, make sure they have lunch. Don't give them a shovel and send them into the corner. That's demoralizing. Speak with them, communicate with them, and sort of encourage them, stuff like this.
I'm guessing you've plenty of employers looking to help you create these opportunities.
Last count in December was about 350. Yeah, we've more positions of employment than we have young people at the minute. Yeah, which is really good.
So the Irish, are they mainly Irish businesses?
Yeah.
Irish businesses have stepped up to the plate to provide opportunities. And I'm guessing as well that there's a huge percentage of them that do really, really well in these environments, that flourish.
You've met some of them.
Yeah.
There is. That stand out from the crowd amongst the general population, 100%.
Is that because they're more hungry?
I think so. I think some of them are hungry. I think, rather than being sort of, a victim of your circumstances, these guys use this as fuel, and push themselves forward.
That's where their drive comes from.
I think so, yeah. I think, yeah. I mean, you don't have to be a victim to, your background.
I think we're too, if my daughter ever watches this now, but I think we're too easy on our kids now. We give them too much. We
Well,
drive them
I am
everywhere.
on mine, definitely.
Yeah, we drive them everywhere. We give them money for everything. You know, it's not. It's in a way, it's much easier being a child nowadays, but it's also much harder being a child.
Yeah, yeah. And social media, mental health, anxiety, it's through the roof.
Yeah, like your WhatsApp photo used to be, or I don't know if it still is.
Still is.
I'm coming for all the things they told me I couldn't have.
Yeah.
For me, that kind of underpins the hunger that these young people would have, you know.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, a lot of them are really hungry. I'll give you an example. This is for me. I love these stories. My team brought a group of guys down. I won't say which. It was an aerospace company. We brought a group of them down for interviews last week, and we got the feedback off the HR department. And one of the guys was not going to get the position because he was too intelligent, and he had several side gigs going at the minute, and they would never be able to get him to focus in on just the engineering or the aerospace engineering apprenticeship. One of the comments that was made was, this guy will be buying his own Learjet in 10 years.
Wow.
And he's not getting the position, not because he's not competent or not able, but because he's too intelligent. That's fantastic.
He's an entrepreneur, probably.
100%. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. The lads speak really highly about it.
Going around in the world, seeing opportunities everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's the malaise of the entrepreneur, isn't it? That they can't focus on one thing and just go down that path.
Well, this fella has his finger in several pies. I think he's 17 years of age.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah. So, okay, so one of your main objectives then is to increase the pool of talent that you have, the number of young people.
Yeah.
And how are you doing that? How do you go about that?
Oh, how are we doing that? So, I mean, we started off with two-slip. We needed to build a proof of concept that worked. There was no point going in and doing something for a couple of months and then, knowing it's not going to work, but going to do it. So
you had a long-term plan.
Yeah, we essentially started working with the low-hanging fruits, and then we moved out slowly. Now we're working with the more harder-to-reach young people, the ones that need that extra bit of support. But we're also now...
Tell me, just sorry to interrupt there. So, okay, so you work with TUSLA and you work with the care workers or the aftercare workers.
And social workers, yeah.
And social workers.
Yeah.
So they have access to the pool of talent.
Yeah.
To the young people.
That's right.
So you have a relationship then with these TUSLA, the team of TUSLA.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then they will probably have in their head an idea of young people that will step up to the plate and want to take on an opportunity like you can offer them.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's your kind of that was your first port of call. That was the low-hanging fruit.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's how they come to you, the young people. Right, Grant. So now you've expanded out a little bit beyond that. We've
gone to the more harder to reach young people at the minute. So for instance, we started in January 2019, January 1st, 2019. 2022, was a 200% increase on demand on the service. And if we keep going this year the way we're going, we'll be on 200% increase demand on the service of Way to Work for 2022. And if we keep going the way we're going with the level of referrals, we'll have another 100% increase on that this year. So yeah, and we're also about we've been sort of tipping away. We're in the desk guilds, so we've been going out to the desk guilds, building some relationships with principals, guidance counsellors, this type of thing, and then taking several referrals from each one. I have a funny story if you want to hear it.
Always.
This is brilliant. So we had a young guy reach out to us a while ago, another entrepreneur. His mother reached out to us through the school and asked us, could we help him? That he broke his leg, and after he broke his leg, he was lying up on the couch for several months, which gave him time to reflect on where he was going in life.
Been there.
This is brilliant. So we met him, and we have a referral application. And the referral application, we have to look at self-harm, mental health, anxiety, drug use and so on. We can't be sending anybody to employers. It has to work for the employer also.
Yeah.
That's one of the key points of what we do. And we met this young guy, and one of my lads was going through the referral with him and asked him, so in terms of punctuality and attendance, where would you rate yourself between 1 and 5? He said 5. So we said, okay, that's fantastic. But you haven't worked in a while and you haven't been to school. Where would you get that rating from? He says, when I was selling drugs in Darndale, he says it was shift work. He said, I worked from 9 in the morning till 9 at night, and in 3 years I never missed a shift and I was never late.
Would you like to see my reference?
He's working with an employer the last 7 months as a plumber, an apprentice plumber. He loves his job. His mother is over the moon with his progress. And every month or two, he'll send his mentor, who's Brian, a WhatsApp video of a new sort of skill he's learned on the job. If he had approached, I believe, a standard employer on an interview and he revealed that information, he wouldn't have got the role.
No.
So we were able to sort of help him, maybe don't communicate that too clearly, but like, we know you want work. We know you've made some errors in your life. We know you've learned by that and you want to move on. We helped him work with that. He got an interview and he's flying. And that's all we're trying to do.
And also the work that you're doing to break down misconceptions or preconceptions that people in the world of work have about these young people who've grown up in areas like Darndale and they used to be cycling around on the bikes, selling the drugs in the park or whatever. People have a perception or a misconception about that.
Well, I think even this young man in particular would tell you that he was selling drugs, but he was really being exploited.
Yes, exactly. He was a courier.
Yeah, he wasn't somebody who, grew up in life, I would imagine, to be the biggest, criminal in the world. Yeah. This young man was living in an environment, there were certain things going on around it, and he was exploited. That's the way it is. So how does he get out of that? Somebody provides him with the right opportunity.
Correct.
And let him go on his way. And that's what we're trying to do.
So what brought you to this kind of work, Derek? You said earlier you work very hard. You work very long.
I work
hours.
a lot. Yeah, I do. I don't turn off.
And you don't do that without having a large degree of passion for what you do.
I think that's fair to say. What brought me? I think I sort of, not that I fell into this. So I have my own story in life. I have my own background. I didn't have a great hand dealt to me in life. In fact, it was a really poor hand. There was poverty where I grew up, and then there was extreme poverty. I was the latter. My whole family was. So when you grow up in that environment, there's not many opportunities out there. You do what you do to survive. And I done what I done to survive. And all it was self-preservation. I made a lot of mistakes, and I finally was able to pull myself out of, let's say, the path I was going down. But how did I do that? Was professionals. Right. Like, some of the biggest impacts that have been made on my life have been, which in a way is bittersweet, but they were from professionals.
It wasn't your family, it wasn't your parents.
No, it wasn't. There was alcoholism, a lot of alcoholism in my family, a lot of chaos. The mother had mental health issues. When you speak about trauma, what is trauma? I mean, I think I would be on the more higher scale in terms of some of the things I've experienced. I found my brother dead when I was 15 years of age. There was no father in the home. The mother had 6 children on her own. She really struggled, and then she had her own issues as well, which didn't help. So I didn't really get much from that end of the sort of, do you know what I mean? I didn't get much support that maybe the average young person would have.
Did you have any influencers in your life that would have influenced you in a different way?
Oh, yeah, I would. Yeah, but they were all professional.
Okay.
You see, so I understand the value and the importance of getting an opportunity and people supporting you within that opportunity. Almost believing in you when you don't. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So,
that's a really interesting one. So you didn't believe in yourself, so you didn't have a sense of your own value or your own worth. Had you lost that? No,
I think it was buried out of me. I don't think I lost it. I think, it
was aggressively.
When you're going through life and people are making certain comments and you have certain experiences and so on, and that knocks you.
It's attritional. over the years?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Now, I mean, do I hold? Like, I mean, it is what it is. You have to walk through it, but
not everybody does work through it, though.
no, they don't. No, I understand that. But the people that I was able to link in with through the years, and some, I would say the majority of them I'm really good friends with still today, they believed in me when I didn't, and helped me to understand that maybe I had a lot to offer if I put the work in. And so, yeah, so yeah.
So that's clearly, you work very hard, you're very driven, and that it offers the context, all that stuff that happened to you in your childhood and in probably your 20s.
Probably 30s too.
Probably 30s too. So you're a late developer, you're like myself.
I'm late into the game, let's say.
So all of that is driving you. That has lit a fire under you and it's driving you on.
It's a fuel 120%. That's my fuel today, 100%. It drives me constantly. Probably too much, in fairness.
I love this idea that like, yeah, we'll come back to that in a second about being too driven. But I love this idea that you took all the things that happened to you and you turned them into something of value that you can now change the world, or change the world for some young people.
Yeah, I would agree with that statement. Yeah, I use my, so I don't know. So how did I do that? Well, I mean, a lot of college, a lot of personal development.
You went back to college?
I did. I done several years back in college, and I studied several different areas.
What did you study?
I studied social care.
Yeah.
I studied psychodynamic theory and project management. They were UCD and IT Carlow. But I'm also self-educated as well. I have many a passion.
You have one of these brains that just soaks up facts, don't you?
I think people are really, really interested, even the negative ones.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, generally, I find people interested in the way people's minds work, the way people, I suppose.
When you meet a negative person, do you, because I'm trying to train myself to do this now, when you meet a negative person, do you immediately think they are a product of something that happened to them?
No. But what I learned was the importance of the fundamental attribution error. And that can
Tell me
be,
what that is.
so I could bump into you tomorrow buying coffee and we know each other a long time and you're short with me. And I'm like, well, she can fuck off, you know, and off I go. But I mean, the night before you could have had bad news.
Yeah.
You know, you could have, you know, something could have went wrong within the company, within your family, and I'm not taking that into account.
Yeah.
So I would have normally just seen people who are negative and, you know, nasty, let's say, is not dealing with them. Now I look at it, maybe try and look at it a little bit different.
Fundamental attribution error.
Yeah.
That's what they call it in the books.
Yeah, well, it's meeting someone and judging them straight away on their behaviours. And you've no idea what's going on in the background.
And you know what? It's exhausting.
I know.
That constant judgment.
I know.
It's so much less exhausting if you, what do they say? Turn the judgment into curiosity. Flip it.
Right, I've never heard that expression. Right.
Yeah, so instead of making an instant judgment, you start to be curious. You know, why is that person driving really slowly in front of me and driving me mad when I'm in a hurry? You know? And
but that's more about you than it is about them.
It's like, you know, maybe they just got bad news. Maybe they just visited their mother in the hospital and she's not well. You know, you don't know.
Yeah.
And
no, I don't get that right all the time.
No, not
I
rarely get it right.
But I do try. Yeah, I do try.
I think the fact that we know it's there and we can try to work on it is a goal. You know, it's better than not even being aware.
Yeah.
It's a progression of awareness.
Yeah.
That,
I think so.
You know, you come through, and it's training your mind to go down a different neural pathway. You know, to one that you've already all your life done. So the things that have happened to you in your background have led to you having increased empathy. Let's put it in a nutshell.
I have a lot of empathy and I have a lot of compassion. Sometimes to my own detriment, which is something I work on constantly.
How can you have too much empathy?
Because you can go too hard on everyone else's issues and not look at your own and look at your own family. I have a young family and I have a wife, and you know, my whole home is an office right now. I have a laptop going in the bedroom or in the nursery. I have an iPad in the sitting room. I have the work phone and my own personal phone in the kitchen, and you're never away from it, which means I never turn off. So you're constantly working on everyone else's lives and everyone else's, and sometimes you need to take a step back and go, no, I need to now focus. I'm home. I need to turn off. I need to enjoy my time with the kids.
Do you not go to anybody if you're burnt out?
No. And that's what I mean when I say sometimes to your own detriment. Plus, I get myself into a lot of trouble because I rarely say no. And I'm a sucker for stuff like this, and that hasn't served me well in the past.
I would say it has probably served you well in a lot of ways. Never saying no to things is probably very good in a lot of ways, because you embrace everything. You take on everything. And it's probably been very good for you, but there's a line that you have to draw sometimes.
There is. We all need that.
You have to learn what to say yes to and what to say no to.
Yeah.
Have a filter.
Yeah. Well, we all need that, don't we? We need that sort of boundary.
And you know, it's funny, like, and this is a complete tangent, and I don't know whether we'll go with it or not, but I'm going to say it anyway. I feel like when you start saying no to things, you have less people in your life, like personally, in your personal life. You have less friends. Like all through my 20s and probably the first half of my 30s, I had all these people and all these groups of people that were always doing different things, like socially. And I felt that I had to be a part of them all. Probably, I don't know, fear of missing out, a bit of that, or a bit of not being able to say no to things that I feel I have. And I've stopped doing that. I stopped doing that about 10 years ago, where I just say no to things now. I just go, you know what? I would prefer to sit on my sofa in my pajamas than do that.
That's the good thing about your 40s.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
I have learned that as well. There's been an awful lot of people who have walked out my life because I started to incorporate the word no into my vocabulary.
Yeah.
Were they really friends?
No.
You know, so now I sort of, you know, when you tell somebody no and they ring you 2 days later, as opposed to the one who never rings you again, probably didn't need them in your life anyway.
Yeah, so you find that you've kind of jettisoned a lot of the people.
The dead weight.
Yeah, the ballast, yeah. And you can sort of focus on, you know, that reciprocal value, those relationships that have reciprocal value in them now. Because all relationships are transactional, like no matter what way you look at it.
Yeah, they are,
so
by definition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're offering value, they're offering value, and we're both getting a lot out of the relationship. So those are the relationships that are worth preserving.
They're the important ones.
Yeah, and that's why we have to be careful at home. You know, we have to be careful at home with our loved ones, you know, our partners at home.
Yeah,
kids.
Still working on that.
Well, you know, probably you and me are very lucky that our partners are infinitely patient with us.
Yeah, it's a good point.
But it is something that you have to pull yourself up every now and again and go, no, I'm actually going to do something for the people at home for once. And it's so rewarding when you do it.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
they give back in spades.
It's a good point. Yeah,
don't they?
Yeah.
And again, back to the transaction. So that was a tangent.
No problem. I like tangents.
Back to way to work. So you're driven. We know you have empathy. How does this help you in connecting with the young people? Is that your superpower in what you do?
I think.
Or is it one of your superpowers?
I think. I'm not a professional, and
You're not a trained social worker.
No, I strive not to be a professional every day, because the young people. My philosophy is, and you don't have to agree with it, the young people who we would work to support are dealing with professionals the majority of their lives. They don't need another one.
Yes.
They need somebody to meet with them, meet them where they're at, encourage them, have the crack with them, bring them for something to eat, build a relationship, a trusting relationship where they can ring you up, where they can, they can express themselves in any way they want without the fear of being judged. And I think that's one of the ways that works with Way to Work. We're not we're not looking for anything special. We're not looking for a certain type of person. In fact, we don't even have a criteria built. The only thing we look for is somebody who is ambitious and motivated. You can work and do anything with that person. Do you know?
Yeah.
So I think that's important. That, and then ADHD, hello, riddled. Always have been
Riddled with the ADHD.
diagnosed many a times as a young man, but also in my late 30s. That's a superpower. A lot of people will tell you it's a disability. They find it very difficult to manage. They take all sorts of medication. I don't find it like that at all. Maybe initially I did. I've learned how to manage it. You know, mindfulness, going to the gym as much as I can. I mean, I was out, I done 8K this morning before I arrived here,
Wow.
and so on. So that is, I would see a lot of stuff online, medical journals about which medication you should take, and I don't agree with them all.
Yeah,
You know,
you're neurologically different. We don't need anybody to be neurologically the same.
well, my psychology lecturer in college told us that people who had Asperger's and dyslexia were disabled. But what he didn't mention was 40% of people globally with dyslexia are self-made millionaires.
Yeah.
He not that he probably chose to keep that out, but I think that's also a good point that needs to be made. And then you look at Elon Musk, or you look at Bill Gates, and you look at these guys who all have Asperger's. So I don't buy into the certain narratives. I don't buy into.
Yeah, somebody said to me when we were in Vegas a few weeks ago that being on the spectrum is a superpower. It's just about harnessing it.
Well, there's multinationals set up in Silicon Valley just looking for people on the spectrum. They don't want anyone else.
Yeah.
There's a reason for that. Them people are they're the next step in evolution.
Yeah.
They really are, like.
And we finally recognised that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Corporate world is recognising it, so it must be a thing. So you have the ability, because many of these young people may be neurologically diverse as well. Which if it's not recognised, like you'd recognise it immediately probably when you meet them.
It's not really an issue for us because there's a job out there for everybody.
Yeah.
There really is. And we would have many young people that would have various types of diagnosis. And it's not an issue for us because, again, there's a position in the world for everybody.
I think we need to do another one of these specifically targeted for the young people and get it out there to them. Maybe we'll put it on TikTok or something.
You have to teach me how to use it first.
What you just said there, there's a job out there for everybody.
There is, yeah, definitely.
And, you're embracing them all. You said all they need is ambition and a work ethic.
Yeah.
Where did you get your work ethic from?
I don't know. I really, I don't know, but I have a really good one.
Because it's clearly, I always thought work ethic was learned behaviour rather than something innate.
Yeah,
it's...
Well, I'm hungry. Mm-hmm. I'm always hungry to do more, to achieve more. I'm not really hungry for anything in particular. I'm not looking for any one thing. But I can guarantee you nobody taught me a work ethic.
Yeah.
Maybe some people just have it, maybe some people don't. I don't know. I've never really thought about that.
Yeah, like I think that's one of the things that our young people now, like they grow up in middle class families with with parents who kind of give them everything. I think that's one thing they might be missing is that work ethic.
Yeah, and a brass neck. A brass neck is really good to have, and I have a brass neck. I have.
How do you get a brass neck?
Well, I have...
By being told no all the time?
Well, I have a cognitive disability. I can't process the word no. I don't know how to. So when somebody tells me no, by the time it computes, I hear ring me next week.
Yeah.
You see? And that's a brass neck, and I've gate crashed VIP boxes in Crow Park just to get to an employer. And it's worked out really well. So that helps. Not everybody has one.
But everybody's trying to talk to you though as well. Like, you know, the minute you open your mouth and you start talking about what you do, people will be just riveted. And they want to climb on board. They want to be like, how can I help? How can I get involved in this?
You see the world different than me now. Yeah, so you've told me that many times. I don't see that.
But you're the proof of the pudding. I mean, we can see it. You went out there, you created these relationships. I mean, I come from the construction industry. You targeted construction, and you went after the construction industry, and now look at the amazing relationships that you have forged.
But I think there was several reasons it worked well. Construction industry is unique in a way that the majority of the CEOs and HR contracts managers, whoever I work with, they all started off with a pair of Snickers trousers and a pair of steel cap boots. So they understand what it is to strive and work hard and get your way up. But also the benefits and the positive sort of outcomes of an opportunity. You know, so I think the construction industry is unique. We have the best of support. We've Tom Parlin in the CIF, the Director General, has been amazing to us. We're an official partnership with John Sisk and Sons. We work really closely with Designer Group. They train all our guys for us. We have built up really good, I would say long-lasting relationships. But we don't go in anywhere wishy-washy. I'm not going in promising anything.
But it's also back to our transactional relationships point that we made earlier. It's transactional. They're getting something out of it as well.
Yeah, and I do.
Works both ways.
And I do favours for a lot of these companies outside of Way to Work on different issues. So yeah, it's worked well, and I mean we've partnerships with some of the biggest, not only construction, some of the biggest industries in Ireland, which is fantastic.
And tell us about the girls. What do they want to do?
Right, so the girls, we don't get many of them. Nobody has really been able to figure that out. So we everything we do is captured on a CRM, a Salesforce CRM system that we use, and we can produce stats on absolutely anything. We don't get a high percentage of young girls, and I can't answer that question. There is amazing opportunities for them out there. Not most, but a good majority of the companies that I would work with will always ask, have you any females? Have you any girls? Not only in construction, and I think it's fantastic. A girl walked by me 2-3 days ago in our work area. She was obviously on the sites, and I think it's fantastic. You know, one of the things I learned several months ago in one of the big construction companies was female welders. Their attention to detail and their smaller hands.
Yeah, so you get the welds nice and neat.
Amazing at welding and smaller jobs like that. To the point they don't even have to double check their work.
Yeah.
Like, fantastic. I never heard that before. So
there's a piece to be done there. There's a communication strategy to be done there. Get the girls on board.
Probably, yeah. Probably, yeah. And what we are getting, the female referrals is increasing. We took on a female mentor last year, specifically to work with young females. We're in the Dublin area. We also it's half and half in Way to Work. It's 50 female, 50 male.
Okay. We definitely need a TikTok strategy for this.
Yeah. I haven't got one. I don't know how to use it, so you'll have to teach me.
Yeah. What does it mean to a young person when you give them a job, an apprenticeship? How can that change life for them?
Well, I think there's several ways. What I've seen on several occasions, without really considering would this be an outcome. When a young person gets an opportunity and they get into, let's say, a big company, generally all the WhatsApp groups or the Instagram or the Facebook groups or whatever groups they're in are all of our young people from, let's say, disadvantaged backgrounds. They start to fall away from them naturally. And then what happens is then they're added into the groups from the guys that are working with, the professionals, the guys that are looking to save for mortgages. You know, they're going on holidays, they're buying a nice car, they're talking about setting up a small little gig on the side, and all really positive things. The the type of environment that inspires young people get that opportunity.
They get pulled up.
Exactly, as well
Yeah.
as being able to support themselves financially, build their confidence and self-esteem, you know, understand that they do have the same ability as everyone else. The only thing they were missing is that right opportunity. And that's what we're trying to say to employers. This is the final goal for ourselves at Way to Work and for the young people we support.
If you know who the audiences are that'll be watching this, right? So they'll all be kind of, I suppose, mainly professionals, a lot of people from architecture, engineering, construction, sustainability. That'll be the kind of the type of minds that'll be watching this. So if you had one message to leave the watcher of this with, what would it be? Right, go for it. Last one.
So I suppose if you're an employer and you would like to get involved with ourselves, hear more about what we're doing, or offer a young person an opportunity in your company for whatever reason, whether that's because you're empathetic or you have a corporate social responsibility policy, doesn't really matter to us, or you need staff. We don't really mind the agenda as long as one of our young people gets an opportunity to start and get on the employment ladder.